You're not all the way down yet.
30 more seconds and you would have been swimming for the boat with that camera.
You're just doing what we're told, right? Before you yell at me.
A 3-hour cruise.
We need 2 anchors is what we need.
I don't understand why it's just...
You have another anchor?
No.
We can start an anchor. I think once you get lined up, it's going to be fine. Because the waves will keep going down.
This is Jim Voss from Alaska Boat Rentals. And we are on Polly Creek, across from Deep Creek Launch, about 30 miles across the inlet, in an area famous for razor clams. And I'm going to do a little instructional video here on how to spot these clams and how to dig them. So we've got a couple of clam tells in front of me here. One of them is located right here, which is a very obvious depression in the sand. There's another slight one located right here. And there's a couple of ways to go about it. Some people use shovels, some people use guns. I like to use the shovel. I find like I break, with the technique I like to use, I find like that I break fewer clams this way. And so we're going to see if we can't get both of these clams. And what I like to do, and it really doesn't matter exactly what side you try to dig this on. Some people will tell you that you should be digging on the seaward side and getting them from there. But in this technique, you don't really have to pick a particular side. What we're going to do though is we're going to dig on one side of this clam. This is where his siphon was up in the water when the tide was in, and now that the tide's moved out, as he pulled his siphon back in, he's left this tail in this tail in the sand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig right here, and I'm going to dig down lower than what I think that clam is, which is probably 18 to 24 inches. And then I'm going to go into the side and pick him out. So let's see if we can get this one. Now I'm digging to the side of him, and I scoop out just a little bit over here, and now I see him, so now I'm going to go get him. I got my hands on him, and the fun thing about these is they're pretty fast, and they dig pretty well, and they get a lot of suction with their digger. So I've got him exposed, and I got my fingers around him. You got to be careful because they are sharp. And now I'm just working him out, and I pulled out a really nice sized clam here. Now there was another one over here. In fact, when I dug this one, a depression was left right here because he feels me moving in the sand, so one of them took off. But let's just see if we can go get this one too. He may be so deep now that I'm not able to get him. We're going to find out. Well, like I mentioned, they're pretty fast, and that one had a head start, so that one's gonna get away. It's okay, because there's millions more over here. All right, so one of the things I want to do here is to show you that we're in a really rich bed of razor clams here, and I thought I'd show you what some of the tells look like. So just in my little 2-foot area here, I'm going to point out probably 5 or 6 clams that I could reach out to just with my shovel if I wanted to, and we're going to try to pan the camera around so you can kind of see them all. There's a lot of commonality between all these, but there's a little variation to them as well too. So the first clam tell that I'm looking at is right here. And what we're looking for is just anything that's got this kind of circular pattern to it that doesn't look like it would have been created by natural wave action. So there's one right here. This one's not completely obvious because it's a little irregular, because it's being embedded in the natural wave motion that was created in the sand bed here. But a really obvious one is this one right here, because it's so perfectly circular that that's just out of place. But as I look around a little further, I have this one and I have this one. As we come over, there's another one right here. Another very, very obvious one because it's such a perfectly circular pattern. If I step out just a little bit, and that one took off on me. You can see him bubbling in the water, so I'm just going to go get him while we're here. He felt me moving around in the sand, and he took off. So I'm going to do my best to get him. There he is. That's just a little one, not big enough to keep, so we're going to put that one back. And I'll grab this one. Clams over here are so big, it doesn't make any sense to keep the little ones. Keep them back and let them grow again. But okay, I've got a handle on this one. He's pretty big. I'm pulling him out. Get him in the water a little bit there. There you go. And I'll show you a couple of the other clam tells that we have around here. Here's another very obvious one, big circular pattern. So there's absolutely a clam right here. There's absolutely a clam right here. And a lot of people will ask the question, can you tell from the size of the hole whether or not it's a big clam or a little clam? And the answer is somewhat. Big holes definitely are left by big clams, but little holes may be a big or a little clam. So in this particular case, I'm going to pick this one over here because it's a fairly large hole. And I saw it kind of siphoning a little bit a minute ago, so he may have felt me moving around on the beach here and decided to take off. So we're going to see if we can get him.
Oh yeah, look at this one.
Oh, I got you. I got you. You're lean and you're mean. And you're not too far in between, I'll bet, either, are you? All right, so we've got a razor clam tail right there. And we're going to pick either the left or right side. It doesn't really matter for the technique I'm going to use here. And I'm going to make sure that this blade is straight up and down rather than going at it. And I'm going to move back about 8 inches from that hole and about 8 inches towards, oh, he's leaving on me, so I'm going to go get him. I saw him evacuate the hole because he felt me moving around up here. So now I got to go get him. Yeah, there he is. And he's a big one too. Very good size. There you go. So he was sitting in the hole over here like this. Where his tongue, where the siphon was up into the water when it was in, and when the water left, he pulled his siphon back down in. And I dug over here so that I don't risk breaking his shell. And after I dig down a little bit, and I believe that I'm deeper than the clam is, I can go in from the side and grab him because the shells are pretty delicate and they break both. You can break them both with the shovel blade, or if you squeeze them too tightly, you can break them too. So by digging away from them a bit and then going into the side to pick them out, you do a much better job of not breaking the shell.
Hi, I'm Kevin Chavira and I work with Alaska Boat Rentals. So what I'm hoping I can do today is help you learn how to dig for clams. This is my first time and I've already learned they're pretty sharp. So what we're going to do is just dig on the side of this hole right here, this little crater. Just muscle them out. There's one.
Right, so let me take a minute and show you the age of these clams, how to tell the age of these. So these Polly Creek clams are very mature, and one of the reasons for that is across the inlet here at Polly Creek where we're at, the only way to get here is by plane or by boat. So there's a handful of boats out here today. Occasionally you'll see some tail dragger planes land up there on the beach when the tide goes out and they clam. So because the only way to get here is either by boat or by plane, and there's no roadways in here, there's very little pressure put on these clams, so they grow to pretty mature, you know, because there's just not a lot of pressure on them. So I'll show you to count these things, and you count them like you do a tree. Each ring on this thing constitutes 1 year growth. So if I go find the rings on this one, try to hold it still for you here, I can see the first ring for year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this clam is 6 years old, and they reach maturity between 7 and 8 years.
Sorry, little guy. Ah, why did you sit like that? He's sitting sideways, and so I crushed him. There you go.
Okay, so we're at Polly Creek, across the inlet from Kenai, and a super big tide. So the razor clams are thick. So we got a nice dimple right here. There should be one in there. Let's find out. Well, looky there. I found a nice butter clam. Didn't expect that. But we're going for the razor. And I'll show you my finger in a minute. You'll see why they're called razor clams. All right, so you dig in there a ways, and then you go in. Oh, there's a bonus right there. One on the other side. All right, so you go in on the side and feel for them cautiously. Uh-oh, where'd he go? Well, maybe it was that butter clam that I saw, because there's nothing there.
Clam digging on Polly Creek, but there's all kinds of life over here, including this gorgeous sand crab.